Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of Rick and Morty Season 5, Episode 1, Mort Dinner, Rick Andre, a title based on the 1981 Andre Gregory Wallace Shawn film, My Dinner with Andre, which actually also inspired a Season 2 episode of Dan Harmon's other major series, Community. Now, Rick and Morty as a series Loki'd years before I decided Loki was a verb, so I'm taking a break from some Loki coverage to go back breaking down all the Easter eggs, all the subtle jokes and horny animation details you may have missed in this Rick and Morty season premiere. So Morty carries a badly wounded Rick away from some mystery mission against a tentacled monster that feeds on these floating crystals depicting alternate realities. Kind of like the Forbojolon crystals in season 4, but they don't all appear to be death futures. We see Rick with a lava gun, Morty and Rick as birds fighting over a worm, Morty cradling a baby Rick, them as Lego bricks, a greaser Morty, Morty and Rick passing an upholstery store, lumberjack Rick chopping down a Morty tree, and of course a Blade reality with these vampire DJs looking like the same vampires we saw back in season 2. Another showing Doc and Marty, Justin Roiland's crude Channel 101 short that Rick and Morty was initially based on. If you like this show, trust me, don't go back and watch that. Then Rick and Morty as 18th century British soldiers, one in which Rick has strapped soda bottles to his chest like dynamite, one where Rick and Morty have Flavor Flav style bling, and then one with Morty and Rick naked looking like they're in front of the Simpsons house on Evergreen Terrace. And then as they squeeze out through the closing portal, the audio guys mixed in a little fart sound like a, squirting out of a, Now, when Jessica answers Morty's call, look, her phone is still on the incoming call screen, which is a gaffe common in live action production, but here the animators put it in just as a reference to that gaffe because it would have been easy enough for them to animate it changing. Now, we learn Rick has a rule about no ocean passage because of his nemesis, Mr. Nimbus, a too sexy ocean master based on Namor, also a bit on Aquaman, just these ocean superheroes who show too much. He's voiced by Dan Harmon. Also notice how in his clamshell, one of those tendrils is totally a dick. Now, it is implied that their conflict was more recently embroiled back in Tales from the Citadel, the off-screen Rick-Lantis mix-up, in which Morty and Rick hooked up with mermaids, which Rick later references this episode.
Oh, I've already been to war with Atlantis when I D-dayed that mermaid puss.
I knew that was you.
Now, we see some new opening credits that include a shot of the family's heads popping off and turning into spiders, just like in John Carpenter's The Thing. Some are Bat's sentient mailboxes in a reality where the houses are also mailboxes, one home reading Mail 4155. A little tease of the upcoming Voltron episode, also a tease for this season's Vindicators episode. You see Rick trying to resuscitate Noob Noob while above some detached eyeball hangs. And then one where Morty just butts. Amazing. Rick extends the dinner table to make room for all the stupid crap they're gonna have on there, also maybe so he won't have to sit as close to Mr. Nimbus. He also drags out an ocean-themed chair that bumps over the wine, being the impetus for the whole wine in the Narnia pocket dimension storyline. And in case you're wondering what was censored from Summer's line, it is...
Let's lick tits.
I'm not sure why lick was censored, but whatever. Beth and Jerry have been exploring their sex lives.
Dr. Wang suggested we experiment.
We've been watching pornography.
Referencing Dr. Wang, the therapist voiced by Susan Sarandon from the Pickle Rick episode, who, by the way, also helps people who eat poop in Mr. Golden Cold. And Rick reveals...
There are suicide capsules in all of your teeth. Do what you want with that.
Yeah, pretty horrifying that he somehow snuck these into all of their mouths, probably thinking that with enough adventures, they'll all become as self-destructive as he is. So Rick ages up wine in this time-dilated pocket reality.
So time moves faster in there? It's like a Narnia thing?
I'm not a beaver who believes in Jesus Christ, Morty. But yeah, it's pretty much a Narnia thing.
Of course, referencing C.S. Lewis' Chronicles of Narnia, in which time in the Narnia reality moves faster, though, like in this episode, the rate of the dilation isn't exact or consistent, and Rick refers to Mr. Beaver in the series being a Christian allegory, which it very much is. And we should note that this dimensional portal is not the typical green swirling one, and that's because this Narnia reality is not a dimension parallel to C-137, but a confined pocket reality within this one, kind of like Rick's microverse battery. And yes, this time-dilated dimension is also pretty similar to the Flaxen's dimension in Invincible. If you watch that on Amazon Prime, you should. It's awesome. Mr. Nimbus arrives on this epic chariot that needs to flood the street first, and it's pulled by these two dolphins, reined by an octopus whose eyes glow as headlights, as two other octopi blow these conch shells. And despite this obvious fanfare, Jerry hilariously asks,
Is that Mr. Nimbus?
Now, one of my favorite design elements of Mr. Nimbus are his many capes that he dramatically throws off for no reason. Now, you can see them all layered on top of themselves when he first arrives, but he tosses off the red one, then the orange one, then the teal one as he walks up, and then later the pink one, and then in the overhead shot, all of them are scattered on the ground there. Jerry says he's seen Rick a planet, referencing last season's Children of Mort episode, and Jerry mocks the logic of Mr. Nimbus controlling the police.
He controls police, Jerry.
Right, that tracks. In Dumb World.
I love Rick's silent cringe as Jerry says in Dumb World. So the cops fight and flee, and this happens real fast, but you can see the creepy animation of Mr. Nimbus feeling up Jerry. The divots made by the palm there, and then one finger poke on the dismount. Yikes. And you gotta love Mr. Nimbus's starfish assistant with a clamshell briefcase, a seaweed scarf, booties, and then, as always with Rick and Morty characters, a butt outline visible.
Boy.
So Morty shows Jessica Interdimensional Cable, and it is set to the Nintendo 69 channel. At first, I thought this could have been the porn that Beth and Jerry have been talking about watching together, but later Rick owns up to it.
All I do is eat ass and 69 Nintendos, bro.
So you know this must be his channel, and check out the recliner there. It is still extended. That might be because Rick had just been sitting on it during it, and you know, you only have so many things you can do with your hands right after. You just gotta have to wiggle out of the chair. I'm sorry, that is gross. And yeah, this is the N64 logo, but the console is the older NES, and it's wearing a thong, ass in the dude's face, showing how they're doing the 69 position. Anyway, we gotta move on. Hoovy is voiced by Jim Gaffigan, and he leaves his pregnant wife Bova behind in their peaceful farm to help Morty to move the wine back in the garage. But when he returns, his farm has eroded. The roof that he was in the middle of repairing based on his ladder propped up against it before, that's now collapsed. All the flowers are dead. The curved tree is dying, and now the wine boxes are covered by a shrub. He spins Bova around like the skeleton of Mrs. Bates in Psycho, and his son attacks him.
Japheth, when were you born?
Yeah, I love it. What a weird sentence. Like, he already knows his name, and he's there, but he asks when he was born. I don't know, I just think it's weird. As Rick and Nimbus negotiate, Rick watches a video of Summer in the Marianas Trench slaying Nimbus's guards. They include sharks, dolphins, squids. All of them have six-packs. Of course they do. Now, Morty returns to find the farm green once again, just unkempt. The roof has been patched, just poorly.
Hoovy, right?
Never say his name!
Jesus Christ, why is every old guy super jacked?
Yeah, calling back the Jack Story Train conductor last season. Notice how he knocks out a tooth and leaves some of Morty's hair behind. These later become key relics to this society in the future. Morty throws mud in Japheth's eyes and returns, vomits, and just goes right back in to find Japheth much older. Patch on the eye, apparently having let go of his vengeance. You can check it out, the farm is thriving.
Yeah, you, Hoovy.
Yeah, Morty still calls him Hoovy, still not getting that this is Hoovy's son. But before we continue, when's the last time you got rewarded for brushing your teeth? I mean, besides the obvious reward of not getting cavities. With Quip's smart electric toothbrush, good habits can earn you great perks. The Quip smart brush connects to the Quip app with Bluetooth and lets you track when and how well you brush and improve your habits. You earn points for daily brushing and bonus points for completing challenges. You can then redeem those points for free rewards. Already have Quip? Well, upgrade it with a smart motor and keep the features you love. Sensitive sonic vibrations, 2-minute timer with 30-second pulses for a guided clean. And in addition to brush heads, Quip also delivers fresh floss, toothpaste, mouthwash, and gum refills every 3 months from just $5. Shipping is free, so you can save money and skip the hustle and bustle of in-store shopping. Join over 5 million mouths who use Quip and save hundreds compared to other Bluetooth brushes when you get a Quip smart brush for just $45. Start getting rewards for brushing your teeth today. Go to getquip.com/newrockstars right now to save $10 on a Quip smart electric toothbrush. That's $10 off a smart electric toothbrush at getquip.com/newrockstars. Spelled GETQUIP.com/newrockstars. Quip, the good habits company. Now, Japheth leaves behind 3 sons, one in red, one in green, one in purple, who has his weird looking bird. They end up slashing their palms, swearing a blood oath over a sigil of Morty's head impaled by a sword. And as they build a fortress around this portal site, their house behind them gets more developed, and that weakest brother in purple holds a boulder trap over it, just in case he comes back. But just holding that in place over time, notice it makes him more jacked. And it all develops into a heavily armed fortress akin to Castle Black on the wall in Game of Thrones. And throughout this montage, that shrub hiding the wine is just for whatever reason never touched. Even in the big courtyard shot, you can actually see that wine crate even more exposed, though no one seems to care. Might be because they left it as bait for his return, or they just hilariously did never tear it down. Rick mentions Whisper Kitchen Frasier bullshit, which the writer Jeff Loveness cited as a reference he wanted to put in to how in the sitcom Frasier, they often have Frasier and Niles whisper bickering in the kitchen during a dinner party. Now when Morty returns again, the warriors' arrows and and boulders miss him as he goes back through the portal, but kills the poor guard who alerted them. So Morty arms up and returns. The kingdom is now in debate over whether their vigilance was even worth it. The portal site is now directly in the middle of the throne room. That bird is now even older. It has elaborate plumage. That rug beneath the Green King's feet shows the three brothers' heraldry. Love how above the hearth is a portrait of their old home, and then on the sidewall hangs a portrait of their parents, Japheth and whoever his wife was. So the prince who was complaining is outcast and gets recruited by the sorcerer who brings him to a cave marked by runes, offers him spells to give him a reforged sword that could be like the broken blade in Lord of the Rings. And then you see these messages showing how the other two king brothers die, leaving only his father left to kill. The sorcerer also applies leeches, which is a common middle-aged apothecary practice intended for bloodletting, improving health. And the outcast prince leads a bloody rebellion, killing his father, only to be stabbed in the back by the sorcerer. And then Morty's portal violently severs that warrior, leading to Morty wrecking the place, blasting all the warriors. I love how he tosses grenades that, if you go through frame by frame, melt their eyeballs out of their skulls. Morty's visor scans the wine, revealing that it is a Chianti, 237 cycles, 16% alcohol by volume, and he tosses his levitation glove aside, leading to that gauntlet being recovered by this woman. Similar to how in the Terminator movies, Cyberdyne Systems used the recovered T-800 arm to develop advanced technology and make Skynet possible. Mr. Nimbus mentions another Rick assistant, Kyle. Hope we meet that guy. Morty finally gets his kiss with Jessica. Meanwhile, the Narnia dimension evolves into a technologically advanced society that has fully demonized Morty. The woman who recovered the gauntlet also had recovered Morty's hair and that tooth back from that fight with Japheth. Her son Adam is a traveler who trains in this X-Men style danger room. That was probably the 90s X-Men references that Jeff Loveness was referencing in his tweet. So Adam becomes this hardened adult who suits up, fueled by three others liquefying their bodies. And it is his entrance to the kitchen that causes Morty to drop the wine opener that Jessica later uses to stab the guy's tube. And that broken suit causes him to age up and age down from an old man to a baby, just like Scott Lang in Avengers Endgame. Actually, Jeff Loveness is also writing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Loveness said that he voiced Adam himself. So in his moment of death, Adam faces this cosmic bird at the end of time, perched on a dying tree, its roots wrapped around a heart. This imagery is based on Darren Aronofsky's The Fountain, which is what Morty was later referring to when he said stripped down Sundance sci-fi bullshit. Morty's older gardener self says,
You're early.
which is another kind of tropey line at this point that we heard the Ancient One say in Endgame.
You're about 5 years too early.
But of course, it's all a simulation trick by an even more advanced race of bovine AIs that replace that race. Meanwhile, Mr. Nimbus references Rick's wife, Diane.
If Diane were alive today, what was she? Don't f***ing establish canonical backstory with me, you red lop.
Confirming that the backstory with Diane we saw in the season 3 premiere might have been at least partly true. Also, notice how that line cut off there. They do a little trick here later in the episode when Morty escapes and we cut back to Rick. He finishes this sentence right where he left off.
Officer mother. Screw this. What am I even doing?
So Morty very quickly figures out the flaw in the AI confinement beams by tucking his arm in, and then he builds on that to wiggle out during this thoughtful speech.
I don't give a shit, nerd. Let her go.
Why did I clone myself genitals?
And Rick arrives to help.
God, why does everyone go cyberpunk bird? So f***ing hacked.
Yeah, that bird design may have been a relic of that bird that we saw on the shoulder of the king in this culture. It's just important to them. Rick also might have been referring to the way bird person evolved into a cyberpunk form. So when the bird blasts Rick, notice how it sucks out all of his cybernetic implants that we've seen throughout the series, including his wrist gun, the gadgets in his leg, his abdomen, his shoulder, as well as taking his blaster and his portal gun. Whoa. Mr. Nimbus floods the place. He drops these bovine whales on the birds, and then they swim back through the gate. As they all fall in, Mr. Nimbus just glides in on a little wave. So as Jessica tells her story, we see how the authorities debate what to do with her. In the background, you see these murals depicting Bova and Japheth. Meanwhile, Hoovy was erased from their history, probably because Japheth hated his father. And then Japheth's 3 sons, the bird. And then at the bottom of that banner, it reads bound by blood, referring to their blood oath. And then next to them, the insurrectionist son, and then Adam and his mother, the full history of the species. Then we see the invention of the AI that leads to the destruction of this whole bovine kind, with their skulls impaled on spears, just like they wanted to do to Morty, based off of that sigil that they had. Oh, the irony. And then floating past Jessica are that blood oath stone, the grapes of the wine, the tech gauntlet that enabled their advancement, and a cyberpunk bird. Summer returns with a shell and blows it, but she should have destroyed it because it powers up Mr. Nimbus even more, leading to Rick's arrest. And in the post-credit scene, Beth and Jerry finally get that threesome. I love how on the doorknob there, it has Mr. Nimbus's shell imprint on it. And then Beth requests,
Please don't tell Rick.
He wouldn't understand.
Yes, he would.
Hinting that Mr. Nimbus and Rick's quarrel might have begun as a lover's dispute. So that's everything I caught in this episode of Rick and Morty. You can support our channel by checking out some great merch options that we're offering by going to newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow and subscribe to New Rockstars, and we'll see you next time. Bye.